Okay, for lunch today I'm making some vegan broccoli cheese soup. I've got my Instant Pot that I'm using. I have it on saute. I put a little bit of avocado oil in there. I am adding about 3/4 of a cup to a cup-ish of carrots and onions. There's probably about a 1/2 cup of sweet pepper. And then 1/3 of a cup to 1/2 cup I have of celery. I had that frozen in the freezer, so I'm going to go ahead and put that all in. And let that saute up. I'm going to let that cook for about 5 or 6 minutes to start to get that, especially since this is frozen. I always, when I'm making anything with broccoli, I always cut up the stalk part because I don't necessarily eat that in everything I cook. But if you save this and I put it in the freezer, it's a great flavor in there, and it's great to use in your broccoli cheese soup. So I save up some of that. But we're going to use about 5 to 6 cups of broccoli altogether in this recipe. Okay, it's been cooking for probably 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and add in the frozen broccoli that I had. Let that start to cook up a little bit. So I'm going to add in some garlic. I'm just going to let that cook for about a minute, and then I'm going to add in all the fresh broccoli. And I'm going to start adding in the fresh broccoli that I have. I'm making a pretty big pot because we do like this quite a bit. You can do half of this if you want. It just needs to get stirred up a little bit and wait just a couple minutes to start to cook it a little bit. Now, if you don't have an Instant Pot, you can just cook this in a regular pot on the stove. It's just going to need to simmer for quite a while to make sure that the vegetables are cooked all the way through. This, once you do all the saute and everything, I just need to put it on for a few minutes in the Instant Pot. And once it gets up to pressure, it cooks a few minutes, and then you take it down, and then it's done. So it's just, this way's a little bit quicker, and you don't have to keep an eye on it. Okay, it's been cooking for about a minute or so. Now I'm going to take and sprinkle some flour in, a few tablespoons. That's going to help it thicken while it's cooking. If you don't want to do that, you don't necessarily have to. Maybe just add more vegetables, because once you blend it, it's going to get thicker. So we want to just mix this up so it's kind of coated. And then I've got some veggie broth, 2.5 cups of that I'm going to add in here. And then we're going to add 2.5 cups of a plant-based milk. You just want to make sure it's unsweetened and it's no flavor. You don't want vanilla or anything because you'll taste that. And we're going to just mix that up. On the bus, I make a lot of one-pot things because it's easier since I don't have a bunch of burners and stuff like that, like if I'm cooking at home. So I try to come up with things that makes it a little easier as far as cooking, that everything is done at once. I don't have a lot of extra things to wash because water is a concern. And then you want to add to this, I'm using nutritional yeast flakes. This is going to give you the cheese flavor. So you probably want about 4 or 5 tablespoons. If you want it cheesier, then add more. But this is something that you could add a little bit extra at the end. I always just do a little taste test before I start blending to make sure the flavor's good. I am not going to add any salt or pepper at this time. It doesn't necessarily need it, I don't think. I do add a little bit of pepper at the end when I'm serving it, just because we do like some pepper, but you don't necessarily need to do that. Just gonna make sure this is mixed up in here. Then we're just going to, oh, and Scott, go ahead and show them this here. Not everybody knows that your lid actually can fit on either side in the handles. It's an easy place to put, so either side it can go down in there. It's a nice little tip that not everybody knows. So now I'm just going to put the lid on, make sure that it's closed off up there, and you're going to do manual. And then I've got it on high pressure, and I'm just going to set it for 3 minutes. And I'm going to let it do its thing. It's probably going to take about 15 minutes or so for it to come up to pressure. It'll cook for the 3 minutes, and then I'll do a quick release of it so it lets the pressure out of it right away. Okay, it's finishing up here, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. And then I always throw a towel over the top because you could see it's going to make a mess. You got to watch you don't burn yourself. So I just throw that over the top of it, and then I still got myself. And then it kind of just stops it from going everywhere. Sometimes from the moisture, it'll fling it out everywhere. Okay, now the pressure is all down on it, so we're going to go ahead and open it up. This will not let you open it up if it still has pressure, so it's a safety thing. So you can see down in here how it is. I am going to, like I said, just do a little taste test of what this tastes like, see if I need to add anything to it before I start blending it up. And that's good. Okay, so we're just going to take this and I'm going to put it in the blender. I use my Vitamix all the time for this kind of stuff. If you don't have a blender or anything like that, if you have just an immersion blender, you can just pop it right in there and do it that way. Just go ahead and stick this on here. Oh, I don't think I have this plugged in. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Not used to Scott being next to me while I'm cooking. On. And then this is just depends on how you like it chunkier now. Scott likes his chunkier, so I just do it a little bit. I like mine a little smoother. And there it is.
Yummy.
Now Scott is weird. He likes peanuts on his. So I'll sprinkle a few peanuts on top.
And a little bit of pepper.
And, okay. And a little pepper.
Thank you.
I like a little bit of pepper on mine. And then I like crunchy onions on top.